Edward, I think it's clear now from the economic data we saw last week and the PMI numbers that are coming out of China is clearly not doing as well as people had hoped and expected, and has not been as resilient as hoped. But it's not really a train wreck either. I mean, some of the press seems to be so negative now.
There are a lot of people who want China to fail,
right.
should be said. I mean, you can even see it in the way people talk about the Olympics. And they're
sort of a triumphalism?
Or sort of a fear of Chinese triumphalism. But take a look at this data. It's not all that bad. I mean, there's PMIs are weak, and, the government's sort of trying to respond, and the government's response is a little slow. But you're still talking about a country with GDP growth of 6-7% a year. So you're still talking about a country that's in reasonable condition.
Right.
And it's dealing with what is undoubtedly a very weak world out there on the other side.
Slowing growth, but not a recession. I guess as long as they're still creating new jobs for the growing population, that's the key to any economic grade report. Are they doing that, though? I mean,
we're trying to look at that, and I think the answer to that is it's a little hard to tell.
Right.
I mean, the government's obviously very focused on you don't want masses of unemployed people on the street.
Right.
And in the many, many years of very rapid growth, they've managed to avoid that. As far as we can tell, and the data isn't really very good, it looks like they're continuing to avoid that. They're continuing to bring people in from the cities, from the countryside into the cities,
finding good work,
meaningful might be a bit of an exaggeration, but there is at least an ability to create new jobs. In some parts of China, there are labor shortages.
Right,
which
but that's
is
that's going to happen. The export sector looks very vulnerable too, right? Because there they can't control that. That's Europe and that's the U.S. and the rest of the world.
Yeah, the Chinese are still not quite powerful enough in the world. They can't even win that many gold medals in the Olympics. They certainly can't make American consumers consume.
Right.
So that sector, which is pretty important, is indeed quite weak.
Right. The combination of this is interesting because this is creating an interesting phenomenon that we haven't seen in China in years. The capital account is in deficit because people are taking their money out of China because the opportunities are reducing, and the trade surplus is not growing as strongly thanks to the weak export sector, and that's resulting in declining reserves. That sounds like, now that's not a bronze medal, that's not a silver medal, that's defeat, isn't it? I mean, that's bad news for China, and I would add for the U.S. as a major borrower, isn't it?
I hope not, and I don't think so. Over time, you want China to be in more balanced trade, and it may not be the exact moment where this is the most desirable thing to happen, but over time, the trade surplus is just a weight on the Chinese balance sheet. They can't really sell it. It means that you're not living as well as you should be able to. And over time, for the U.S., the dependency on China isn't a good thing.
Right.
So
China's really sort of moving into a more sustainable flight path, in other words.
Exactly. It looks like we're moving from a miracle story to just a very, very good one.